Okay, let's start the party. For you first-time watchers, hey, this is Patrick from Stop Doing Nothing and Focus Digital Marketing. I run a company in Oklahoma City called Stop Doing Nothing Coaching and Focus Digital Marketing Agency, where we just do crazy, insane, cool lead generation things on the internet. Today is December 17th. It's Tuesday. Looks like we've got, 14? I'm looking over here at my wall calendar. 14 more days left in the year if you don't count today. In a week, it's Christmas Eve, so for those of you who are insane on the Christmas shopping or insanely at last minute like me on Christmas shopping, better get in gear. I do most of my Christmas shopping when my daughter comes into town, but we're going to take care of that here pretty soon. And also for those of you parents who have school-age kids, this is probably your last full week, so you are on mom and parent duty basically for the rest of the year, or probably all the way out through the first or second. Today we're going to be talking about the lessons that I think our kids should know. And for those of you that are watching live, do me a favor, comment below where you're watching from. Are you watching on your phone? Are you watching on your laptop? And whether or not you have kids and the kind of lessons that you wish that they had been taught in school. You know, those key life lessons, those key business lessons that you wish that they would have picked up. I've got my list here of ones I want to go through, but if someone drops a whiz banger right there in the comments, man, we'll pivot and we'll go cover that one also. And just so you know, I am a parent. I've raised a 29-year-old who's managed to stay out of jail, stay away from drugs, and not become homeless, so I figure everything else on top of that is gravy. She works in New York City. She works for a big marketing company out there planning and executing outdoor festivals. And so she's basically working for the company that puts on the festivals that she used to attend when she was school age. So that's pretty damn cool for her. So I've got a list here of different lessons I think that our kids need to learn and that they're not learning in school. I mean, they can take some classes in college, possibly on some of these topics, but some of the stuff right here are some of those realizations that kids, that we as adults have, maybe by the time we hit 25 or 30. There's some of the things that come out with maturity and just being around people and working in an environment and just realizing the good and bad in the world, the good and bad of our government, and the good and bad of people. And you're not going to see me bash any particular organization or government or way of life. It's just, I think that we can do things better. And I think if we learn these particular lessons better and earlier in life, that we have a better chance of succeeding. So, like if there's a key lesson here, it would be better if someone learned it at, 22 versus 32 or 42. That's all we're trying to do here is make sure we get these lessons in their head as soon as possible. So if you've got some good ones, share them below as I run through my list right here. The very first one I have, and by the way, these are in no particular order. The very first one I have on my list is I think that our kids should get good at communicating. It could be public speaking like this. It could be getting through a toastmasters program. But I don't think that it's good so that everyone, I'm not saying this because I want everyone to become a paid public speaker. It's a good idea to learn how to communicate and get over the nervousness of being in front of your peers, because at some point in time in your life, whether it's at a dinner party or it's at a class presentation or it may be on a big stage, you are going to want to be able to express your ideas. And you're going to want to be able to communicate with people. And most people, and I'm sure you've heard the stat up there, most people are more afraid of public speaking and being in front of a group of people than they are of dying. So you'd rather be, I've heard it put, you'd rather be the one in the coffin than the one giving the eulogy. That's how people feel about public speaking. So I think it's very important that at an early young age, we teach our kids how to be able to stand up in front of a group of their peers, understand the physiology that's going on inside their body, and to be able to communicate with them without getting too embarrassed, without getting self-conscious. And that's, I think, one of the main reasons that people are afraid of public speaking or presenting, is just being self-conscious about being judged. Everyone's looking at my eyes and how I move my hands and my clothes, and oh, is there lint here? And oh, I stuttered when I shouldn't have, and oh, maybe I didn't answer a question perfectly. All those fears and anxieties can obviously make presenting in front of a group of people somewhat paranoid. And I'm very happy that I got over that probably in my 20s. I don't know what I did to really get over that, but I can present on a big stage now. I can present on a webcam when there's nobody in the room, and I can present in front of an audience of 5,000 people, and I can present on TV. And TV is one of the oddest ones because in the room you're talking to a reporter and a camera, and you will basically never know how many people you're talking to. That the TV stations I'm on broadcast to thousands and thousands of people, and even in different states. I've had people message me from different states saying, hey, I saw you on a news program in my state, because the local TV station I'm on syndicates their content out to other people. So it's very important that we get our kids into some kind of communication program, or basically at home maybe encourage them to do little plays and little presentations. Some of you know that. Some of you have kids that love to get up and do all little presentations, or a show with their puppets or their dolls for you, and you're the audience and they're putting on the show. And those kind of kids, I don't think will have a problem too much, possibly. But it's the ones that are really shy and deathly afraid that we want to pull them out of their shell a little bit and basically show them that communicating to a group of your peers, everyone in the audience is just as afraid as you are. But it's really important if you want to have big ideas and you want to share those big ideas with the world, that you're able to communicate those ideas. So let's make sure we get our kids communicating out more and sharing their ideas with the world and getting comfortable with that. The next one on my list here is more of an adult topic, not adult as in illicit or anything like that. I've always been a fan of, by the way, Apple Pen, best damn tool I've bought in a long time. Not relying on the government to fix your problems. I believe government was formed a while back because we, as a collective group of people, we had problems we wanted to solve, and it was very easy to give a bunch of money, contribute part of our paychecks to a third party, and that third party would help us fix those problems that are in our common interest and common good. And that's what government does best. It's advantage for us to give money to a central organization, and that organization takes care of our roads and puts in power lines and provides for the common good, things like that. However, the government has a lot of programs out there in business and personal to help you get by when things go bad. And we have to be careful about relying on those things. So, we've got things like welfare. We've got things like business assistance programs. We've got things like business-backed loans. Those are all great programs, and they'll have their right place and the right time. However, when you get on one of those programs, your goal should be to get off of one as soon as possible. Number one, the government runs all of these programs very poorly. All the government is, by the way, in my opinion, is just a very poorly run company. Imagine if you ran your company, and I'm assuming that some of you have small to medium-sized businesses like I do. Imagine if you ran your company and every single decision had to be approved by everybody and voted on and voted down and voted up. And then when you made a decision, someone's like, oh, well, if we're going to implement that, let's tag on these other ones, these other company policies, things like that. Government is just a very poorly run company. So you don't want them, you want them in your life as little as possible. Don't rely on them for a job for a long period of time. There's just some other areas here where I could probably talk extensively, but I'm just a fan of government is not here to fix the world. Government is here to put in power lines and take care of water and help us not kill each other and, take care of law enforcement and provide for the common good and provide for, defense of the country. Those are the things that government's good at. Government's not good at business loans. Government's not good at telling you how to run your business. As a matter of fact, out of all the people in the world, I would think that some of the people that work in government are some of the worst people to go to for business advice or how to run your personal life or what to feed your kid. So just be very careful and teach your kids that while there are good times and good areas to have government in your life, to not rely on them as soon as possible. Pay your taxes, enjoy the road, but don't rely on government for jobs. Don't rely on government, to provide you loans, for example, to build a house permanently. Temporarily, these things are good, and I've used government assistance at various times in my life on a temporary basis. But please don't bank on them to always run your life. The last one I had here is to make sure that your household or you personally have multiple lines of income. The standard life, at least in America here, is to get go through school, go through college, get a job, and that job is your life. You're there 40, 50 hours a week. You get a single paycheck, and if you're lucky at some point in time, when you're old and too old to enjoy it, you're going to retire. And in my opinion, That's a little bit scary. I've always thought that even when I had a job, I'll call it a W-2 job, because all it has to happen is for there to be a shift in company policy, or the company gets bought out by somebody else, or somebody younger and faster and better than you comes in and takes your job, and your company decides that, you know what, they don't need you anymore. So teach our kids that they need to have multiple streams of income as soon as possible, whether it's starting up a side hustle, whether it's, taking on 2 part-time jobs versus 1 major full-time job. There are just various ways there that we could have a second or third income, but we want to be prepared that at any point in time that our pillars of income, one of them may fail. And I'm a big fan of the 3-legged stool philosophy. Have three pillars of income. That way, if anyone's stool fails, you'll still survive. You won't fall. But it's better than definitely having a single line of income, because that one line of income, disappears all of a sudden, and if you have a car payment and you're paying your 401k and you have a mortgage payment or a rent payment, when that one line of income is gone, you are so screwed. So please make sure we teach our kids that they want multiple lines of income, and that could be a whole show in of itself. The next one I had here is just the opposite of income, debt. Avoid debt at all costs, personal and business. There are times for debt, okay? There are times for good debt. There are times for managed debt. Don't construe my advice here as saying that you should never, ever get into debt. However, avoid it strongly. Save up cash for things when you can. Avoid the temptation to go into debt to get things that you can be patient and wait for. A big one for me right now is, a car. There are plenty of new cars out there that I could go out and buy, and I love a good luxury car. I don't know what yours is. I'm kind of a fan of the BMWs recently. I hear Mercedes are a little bit better. I've ridden a client's Tesla in Florida, and I was drooling the entire time. I mean, there are various cars I could go out there and buy and be thousands of dollars in debt and then pay interest on that debt. So when I'm really buying a $20,000 car, I'm actually going to end up paying, $30,000, $40,000 after all the interest is up there. And that's something else you can teach your kids. Maybe when they get older and they go for their first loan, and they get let's say they get a $1,000 loan for some reason. And they're like, woohoo, I borrowed $1,000, I got to pay it back. No, show your kids how interest accrues and what they're totally paying back. If you borrow $1,000, I guarantee you, you're not paying back $1,000. You're paying back $1,200. You're paying back $1,500. Some cases you're paying back, $2,000 to $3,000, depending on if the interest rate is really bad on a high rate credit card. I'm not here to give financial advice. However, I've been around the block a time or two, and I know that high interest debt is bad. So teach your kids to avoid borrowing money at all costs. Rather than go out right now and get a $20,000 loan to buy a car because they don't have a car, teach them to save up $3,000 or $4,000 and get a used car. Man, that's something I wish I really learned when I was younger there. Something else on my list right here it's interesting. I wrote down, some people just suck. And I'm not really sure I could express that any better. Some people just suck, in my opinion. Some people are out for themselves. Some people are going to screw you over. That's part of life. Just beware of those people. Look out for them and avoid them as early as possible. Get them out of your life. I don't know why I wrote that down there, but hey, that kind of applies, doesn't it? My next one I have on here is find a way to contribute ASAP. The other day I saw someone online say something like, I believe we were all put here for a purpose. I'm not really sure I buy into that. We are the result of an organic function and carbon molecules, and what happens with oxygen and carbon molecules and DNA. That's why we are here. We are given 5 or 6 decades to do amazing things, hopefully longer, and then we vanish. But I don't believe that you are dropped on the planet with a purpose. I think of the game I used to play, Age of Empires, and when you would create new people, you would make them a miner, or you'd make them a digger, or you'd make them someone who manages boats, or you'd make them a wood chopper. You right-click on someone in Age of Empires and say, this is your task, and they're off and running. I don't believe that happens. However, I believe because we have 100% control of our fate, that we can choose what to do. We can basically create a purpose for ourselves. And one of the things I wish I had done when I was younger in life is basically decided that in my early 20s, that this is my goal in life. This is what I want to do for the world. This is how I want to contribute. Rather than wander aimlessly, until your 30s or 40s, it's better if we kind of teach our youth that, find a purpose, work on that purpose for a while. That purpose can change. That's okay. But once you decide a direction, it makes everything else in life easier. All the other stuff I talked about, the debt, the multiple lines of income, the government thing, getting into communications. Once you kind of create a direction for your boat, the whole boat analogy about boat or airplane analogy, because I'm a pilot, analogy about picking a direction and making course corrections to get there. That really applies. Once you have a direction, once you say, I'm going to feed the children in Africa, or I'm going to make sure that everybody in 1st through 5th grade has, goes into junior high school at a 7th or 8th grade reading level. Once you pick that purpose, everything else becomes easier. The waters part, and you're at dinner parties, or you're at Starbucks, or you're at whatever, you're on TV, and you're telling someone, this is what I do. Everything kind of falls into place for you. Now, you still have to work. You still have to work your ass off. I am not saying that at all. I'm not saying that life's going to be easy. However, things fall into place for you. People start looking for ways to help you. You say, I want to teach entrepreneurship to 7th and 8th graders. And once you declare that and you make your life's mission about that, then everybody around you starts looking for ways to help you. And, they run into a parent, and the parent says, I'm looking for ways. I wish I knew someone who could teach business to my middle schooler. And your common friend says, hey, I've got a guy. That's that Patrick guy. He's trying to teach entrepreneurship to all 7th and 8th graders. So once you decide your purpose, once you pick your path, everything else becomes easier. In my world of aviation, once I file a flight plan and I tell a controller, hey, you know what, this is where I'm going, everything else happens automatically. I get handed off to other controllers across the country, and I get to my destination, and I land, and I put my plane down on the ground. But in the beginning, I had to declare where I was going. I'm going to start using that analogy more. That's pretty cool. Yeah, in aviation, when you file a flight plan, you say where you're going, everything else just happens for you. Matter of fact, I'm not going to say you can turn your brain off, but the controllers will tell you what to do. You still obviously have to fly the plane. So yeah, pick a direction, man. Pick a direction. You can change your direction. That's okay. But pick a direction that makes everything else in the world easier. Heck, probably even makes picking out your clothes in the morning easier. Next one I had here is nobody will work harder on your dream than you. And this is 100% true. And this kind of applies more to people that run a business or have staff work for them or work in a team environment. Is if you run a business and you believe your business has a mission or your business has a goal, you have to remember that if that's your dream, you're going to have to protect that, and you're going to have to be the one that constantly reminds people of that dream and of that aspiration, of that goal. And if you don't, things will kind of get lost. But also it's important to know that even when you share it with people, that oftentimes people, either they have dreams of their own, they have goals of their own, or they're just not as highly interested as you are. To you, it may be your life's work, and maybe your mission's work to teach entrepreneurship to 7th and 8th graders. But let's say you hire an admin assistant, or you hire a web designer. I mean, they may be in it for the task versus the mission. So you have to remember that you are the one that supports your mission more than anybody else, and you are going to be the one that has to bust your ass more than anybody else to get that. Now, hopefully you can convince your team that this mission is important and convince them to buy into it. But still, it's your dream, it's your mission. You have to protect it and nurture it more than anybody else. Also a good life lesson when you're young. The second to last one I have here is hang around smart people. Something I wish I had known a lot sooner when I was growing up is that basically what smart people know will trickle out of them into you. I'm sure you've heard the cliche that hang around people that are smarter than you, and it will kind of wear off on you. And I've learned that is very true. If I'm ever the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. I need to be in rooms where I am either the dumbest person in the room or I'm kind of in the middle there. You don't learn anything by being in a room from people that have less experience than you. And I use the word dumber there. Please forgive me for that. But I'm talking about being around people that are more experienced than you, whether this is in life or business. So teach your kids to basically hang around people that know more than they know, and hang around people that not only know more than what they know, but hang around people that they want to be like. Hang around your role models when possible, assuming they're good people. Hang around the people that are doing the things that you want to do. What they know will rub off on you, and you will get smarter a lot faster. As a matter of fact, you'll get smarter a lot faster than you will in any classroom. So we have to teach our kids to hang around really smart people. And the last one here, this is the last minute, right before the show started here, and I'm a big believer of this. I actually don't know anybody who is not a believer of this, is stop making stupid people famous. We love to blame our youth and our kids and our millennials, whatever you want to call them. We love to blame them for making things like the Kardashians famous, or the Vanderpump shows dangerous, or the Real Housewives shows dangerous. First of all, it's a lot of adults making that, and so a lot of adults need to learn this lesson. But also, famous people only become famous because they're supported, because you like their fan page, because you bought their jewelry, because you bought their shoes. That's how famous people become famous. Famous people don't become famous because they're smart. As a matter of fact, we could probably find a lot of examples of very stupid famous people. I've got my list right here. Not right here, it's in my head. But I've got, I see people out there in the media who basically are famous for the fact that they're famous. They get a little bit of fame, they parlay that into more fame, and into more fame and more fame. And after a while, you wonder, why is this person on my TV? Why does this person make $10 million a year? They have no appreciable skills, and they're not really contributing to society. Their job is entertainment. And entertainment, to me, is a noble profession. I love to laugh as much as the next guy, but I love to learn from smart people. And so we have a big issue right now in our society, I believe, of just too many stupid people that are famous that are taking our kids' monies with makeup and web shows and the apps and things like that. So try to, again, kind of in line here with what I wrote of, being around smarter people and being in the room with smarter people. We have to teach our kids to stop making stupid people famous. They don't deserve our money. They don't deserve our time. We just really have to pay attention and be very careful about the time and attention we give to stupid people. They may be in music, they may be in acting, they may be in movies. It doesn't really matter. But people, remember, like I said early on, just a couple of seconds ago, these people are only famous because we make them famous. We feed them. We feed their egos. We feed them. We make them think they're highly talented by going to see them in movies or buying their perfume. And we just have to be really careful about that. So teach your kids to stop making stupid people famous. That's pretty much what I have here. If you've got any lessons that you wish you would have learned as a kid, I would love to see them in the comments, either the Facebook comments and the YouTube comments. As I kind of go recap through my list here, let's say I was to pick out top 3, because I covered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I covered 9. If I was to pick out top 3, if this was a 5-minute show and I had to pick out top 3, I would probably say get good at communicating is one of the more important ones. And then after that, maybe the hang around smart people would be important. And then after that, maybe find a way to contribute ASAP. So I'd love to hear your comments below. As always, thank you for watching, and we will see you on tomorrow's show. Take care.